Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our 4th Age Total War Dunland campaign, and in this one we're starting off with another assault of the Hornburg, this one on the part of Lieutenant Ceola, and he has a little more intimidating force here, a lot more infantry, which means better chances of these units actually getting where they need to go, and as you can tell, my forces are not that terribly strong. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, this time the AI has a bunch of siege equipment, including a couple of rams, one of which has actually started about halfway up the ramp, which is, if you recall the first or second episode when we assaulted the Hornburg, the deployment zone is about here, so you could actually start fairly high up the ramp. I've actually got my archers on the top of the wall here with fire at will turned off. I want this ram to open the gates. That's because the AI has a bunch of cavalry, not a bunch, but a certain amount, and I would love them to charge up into the ramp, into the gates, and just be destroyed by my spearmen and pikes and archers and so on. So as soon as that gate goes down, if it does, if it's not destroyed by the ballista, and it looks like they're going to make it just fine, we will turn on fire at will for these 3 archers. We've got back here a little group, and I guess I want these guys to stop firing at will also, because they're shooting over the wall now at those levies of Rohan. We'll keep them back. We'll do most of the fighting, I think, with the Chieftain's Guards. Well, actually, that's a bad move considering the ballista fire from the wall. So we'll see how this is going to go up here. We've got my Dunlandish axemen on this end. We're just keeping them back until the AI gets the deeping wall and starts coming up this ramp on the side. Meanwhile, we've got some archers with fire at will turned on this side of the wall just to shoot down at them. I imagine some of these guys are just going to continue to take losses from towers. They may not capture all of the towers in the settlement. They've got one here. They've got one over there that we'll see if they end up going for this one or not. What have I got going on under here? It looks like I'm doing some construction. Oh, Groves of the Shadow. Very interesting. So I was destroying that building. There were dwarven architectural style buildings here. I noticed while looking at a previous episode. So it's interesting to see that those have been replaced by the cultic groves that I'm attempting to build in the Hornburg, but haven't quite finished yet. So very interesting. Now I imagine pretty soon we'll get the notification about the gates being opened, and then from there we'll proceed. Alright, there it is. We'll go ahead and make sure these guys are on guard mode, keep these other units back as well. I'm thinking that maybe those spearmen are going to simply melt as soon as they come into contact with my own spears. These are just levies of Rohan, only 45. They've also got, let's see, some bowmen down here. We're going to be shooting at them. More levies. This is the unit that I'm more concerned about. These shields of the mark with chainmail, spears, good armor. They've got throwing spears as well. As soon as these units get up into the gate, I expect the cavalry will attempt to make their play, and as you can see, yeah, the levies of Rohan routing almost immediately. We'll just keep these guys on guard mode, fire at will turned off. Actually, maybe we'll turn it on for when those infantry show up, and we'll just keep them back like that. Over here, we did lose a tower, I guess this one, but we are shooting down at them anyway. They've taken some losses already. Axes of the Mark moving back into the deeping wall area. Levies of Rohan over here. They've got actually both of those towers, and so some of these units are now marching up the hill. Axes of the Mark in both cases. We've got these archers firing. I'm going to keep them off skirmish just for the moment, because I don't think their pathing is going to do them any favors. We'll have to micromanage them and get them out of the way. Here, yep, more Shields of the Mark. Oh, Shields of the Mark routing. That's fantastic. Down to just 22 men. And they're going to be absolutely destroyed by our javelins as they rout in the back. So far, I'm disappointed to see the cavalry is not making an attempt, but I imagine they will when they've got nothing else to do. All of the other infantry is going to be committed, and then the only thing left will be for these guys to try their luck. But I should probably start moving my archers, although these axes of the Mark, gotta say, are not making a very good show of it. They're coming up one at a time, and we're cutting them down. They were just at 45, now they're at 35, so like another couple of volleys, they'll probably rout. More axes of the Mark coming up there. And then we've got some other fuller units. Levies of Rohan, there's at least another unit of Shields of the Mark. I guess they're somewhere down here, but we'll see them shortly. Yeah, we're doing fantastic, actually. There go those axes of the Mark. These axes of the Mark are going to be routed or destroyed before they arrive. and then we'll just keep pelting them at a distance. Okay, so here's that other Shields of the Mark unit. 54 of them. Again, a very solid unit. One of my favorite units as Rohan, actually. Sort of a sleeper unit that you tend not to notice very much, given, of course, the focus on that faction's cavalry. But we still got some javelins with some of these spearmen, and let's see how well they do. 47, shaken, wavering. So part of this is we've got some units that are a little bit scary. I don't think Chieftain's Guardsmen are, but the Dunlanding Hillmen for sure are. And coming under all of that fire and being close to a unit that is frightening is just absolutely demolishing the morale of even these fairly high-tier units. So that's very nice to see. These archers are holding their own, although they're running out of arrows. So we may as well move them back. And we'll let the axemen deal with any units that make it up that hill. Meanwhile, we've got, what is it, Levies of Rohan, Axes of the Mark. That might be it, actually, coming up the hill. And then it's going to be just up to the cavalry to decide what they're going to do. Oh, we do have some archers fighting. I failed to notice that. Why don't we just bring these guys back here while I'm thinking of it? And run them away from these Levies of Rohan. Now, they are losing heavily, actually. Let's throw them into melee. Why not? We'll bring the axemen over, too. I don't think they're going to be needed on the main part of the battle, considering we've got spearmen, pikes, chieftains, guardsmen. If these cavalry decide to head up, I think we'll be just fine. So we'll do a war cry, throw these guys in, and let's bring the archers out now, since we're not breaking them. But the Levies of Rohan have actually just decided to rout as soon as we get our axemen close. We'll keep them going down the hill, I think. There's not much sense in holding them back. So we'll just hang out here for a little while. Let them rest, actually. Let them recover. Do another war cry. Give them a minute to let that settle in. And then, yeah, we'll send these two to charge in. We'll send this unit to throw javelins. Throw a single volley and then charge in. Alright, that's friendly fire territory, actually. So why don't we move to the other unit? The second unit of Levies of Rohan, see if we can throw at them. Probably still do some friendly fire losses, but as you know, I'm not too concerned about that. Certainly when we're talking about these Dunlandish axemen types. Still not seeing those cavalry move yet. I'm thinking these infantry need to be routed before the cavalry will make their appearance. So maybe to encourage that, we'll bring the Dunlanding Hillmen over, just another kind of scary unit. And what else we got going on here? No other units routing or fleeing in place on this side of the map at any rate. We should do quite well over here, I think. Yeah, wavering, Axes of the Mark, and then the Levies of Rohan are going to be shortly following them, I think, as soon as these guys break. Alright, so there go the Axes of the Mark, totally broken. Still a lot of Levies of Rohan to hack through, but we will do it, don't worry. In the distance I can see those cavalry units are just standing by. So let's speed this up a bit and see what happens when these guys break. They're shaken down to wavering and routing. But I think we're going to need to destroy them so there's no other routing units left on the field, and then those cavalry are probably going to make their move. Alright, is that it? Anybody else? Alright, I think we still have a couple of routers, or one router at any rate. And then the question is, are they going to move, or are we going to have to go and deal with them? Well, we may, so we'll have to march these guys out. Sometimes this happens, unfortunately. Let's do this. We'll march out our spears, our general, and our tribal pikes. Now, the problem is there are some horse archers, so we'll bring our archer units down, our foot archers. And with all of that, we should be able to goad them into an attack. Let's see what they've got. Okay, so this is just those light spears. Ditto this unit. The general is light horse archers. And otherwise, it's just all spear units. Very low-level lancers. So rather unfortunate that they're not going to follow up. I think it's probably because of the unusual nature of this settlement. Typically, in a more basic settlement, the AI is going to send itself forward into the breach once it has dealt with all of the... well, once it's done everything that it can in terms of infantry. Alright, so let's get our archers down here. Are you guys having trouble getting off the walls? I guess we gotta go one at a time with this. All right, horse archers versus foot archers tend to make short work of the latter. So we will probably kill the enemy general. There he goes. The captain at any rate. And let's bring the rest of these spear units over and clean up the rest of the fight here. All of these melee cav should be pretty easy marks. All right, we'll just start giving attack orders here. I'm a little concerned because, of course, my general is rather vulnerable. So they're going to charge him. Let's see if he dies instantly on this charge. He's taken a lot of losses here. This is the faction leader, Shield of Dunkreok, compelled to come down out of the settlement. And I'm a little worried how this is going to play out. Come on, guys. We got to get down here. Okay, fortunately, that unit has routed. Let's move in. Take him off guard mode, I think. This unit may regroup. There's still 23 left, and there's, of course, a lot over here, 64 men. Rohan spears are doing quite well, but they're shaken, and our axes are cutting down those horses. They will turn to face us, probably get a couple of casualties, but they're wavering. Our other units are closing in. Let's rush them over to that unit of Rohan spears. And yes, indeed, that other unit has regrouped. So let's bring our general back. We don't want him to get killed. I'll use those tribal spears as just a sort of a wall, if you will. Run the other spearmen forward. Let's try to grab him while he's charging some other unit. All right, he's turning. I think we're going to catch him in the back with the spears. And look at him throw those guys up into the air. We are doing some damage, and these guys routed almost immediately on contact. Let's turn around and face this unit, and that should be it. So we had to do a little more active fighting than I was thinking, or hoping rather. Something to keep in mind for the future. We'll have to find a better approach, and certainly we'll want some better units. All right, let's hope we don't get charged in the back while we're just trying to clean this up. All right, a heroic victory. We lost about 150 men, all told, and took out about 1,000 or more of theirs, so a pretty good return on that. And back on the campaign map, we're getting an interesting request from Tharbad. They want a ceasefire, and they want us to give them Greyholm. That is actually a shockingly kind return, a shockingly kind offer. So I'm thinking about seeing what I can do to possibly exploit that. What could I do here? How about we do an overlordship? I'll give you Greyholm, and I'll give you all of the money that I have. I don't think this is really going to work, but it never hurts to try. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Well, it's interesting that they're interested in peace. That's no doubt because they started the war. It's been relatively short, and we've only taken a single settlement. As this continues, they're going to get a lot more mad at us, and they're not going to be interested in deals quite as much. We're going to have to throw in a lot more money. But as Dunland, as you can see, we can quickly get a lot of cash. We're closing in on 100,000 already. So we're working in Greyholm on provincial pacification. We've finished our homeland dominion, rebuilding that in Anghal, and we're at a point now where we could build a wooden palisade. I think I may as well queue that up. We're also training other units in Dunhold and retraining some others. We've got some low tier or very beaten up units, some of these Dunlandish axemen, wolf hunters, and so on, that we'll just bring over to Dunhold, and then we can retrain them all in a single turn. Along with that, we may as well queue up another one-turn unit. Let's go with some more axemen, and then we'll bring them over to support all of these guys a little bit later. So we're still at war with Tharbad, but that's fine. We're going to continue that and hopefully kind of finish that out today, at least as far as I want it to go. But we do have an emissary in the area that I've trained up out of Tharbad, so we can get a better sense of how things look. I know that Tharbad has expanded into the west. I don't know exactly how far. I'm not that interested in these settlements, but I guess that if they haven't taken these places yet, they will relatively soon. But it's interesting to see that no one has taken Sarnford, and that is because Three Ways is still held by Adunabar, and so that, of course, is rather interesting. Adunabar is my only ally at the moment, and here they've got some hill trolls. Very interesting. They've got some Uruk berserkers as well. Some nice Uruks and Orc units. Pretty good mix overall, so it's good to see that they've got that kind of strength. Let's go up to Bree. Okay, and they've taken Bree, actually. Well, that's very interesting. Amon-Sul is still in the hands of the Reunited Kingdom. There's been fighting around Fornost. We'll get the emissary up there to take a look at that next. But it looks like, given the color of the border over here, that Adunabar has not lost any of its territories in or around Rudour, and they've actually picked up some territories in Arnor off of the Reunited Kingdom. So that could be a good thing. It could also mean that we're going to be at war with Adunabar sooner rather than later. Yet another reason to keep Rohan kind of alive but weak as a bit of a buffer between me and my ally. As you can see here, this is territory that began in the hands of a Dunabar, but they may have lost it. There looks like signs of despoilage or devastation, I guess. So there could have been a siege. Rohan could have been attacking them. Who knows who has what at this point. And down here, it looks like the same thing, just north of minus Honor. So there could be a lot of ground changing hands. I'm very interested to see how a Dunabar has done. And I guess to that end, I could send a spy down here. Yeah, okay, the Reunited Kingdom has taken Calenhad. Good. I'm actually happy about that. I want the Reunited Kingdom to do fairly well in the south at least, so I don't have to worry about this being a perpetual border. I want to keep Rohan alive as a buffer, and that works best if a Dunabar is not destroying Rohan from the other side. Well, I've advanced a few turns just doing a little building and training and moving of troops around, and wouldn't you know it, I'm rewarded with this. We've got a turncoat army. And yeah, it was literally a single unit of Dunlandish axemen just sitting here because I couldn't quite make it from Dunfrecka to Hornburg in a single turn. I was trying to get some reinforcements over there. So that's the thing about these AI emissaries. They may not do a whole lot, but they can certainly be annoying when you're trying to move your troops around. The counter to that is to move troops with a agent of some kind accompanying the army. That will make the costs, I guess, prohibitive for the AI. But ultimately, if you're doing a lot of little dribs and drabs around, it's not too consequential, I guess. But the other big thing and very annoying thing is that we're being besieged again by Rohan, again at Hornburg. Now, I'm not going to show every one of these fights when it happens. You've seen a few of them at this point. We probably don't need to see too many more unless anything really epic happens. But I'm trying to hopefully to avoid an assault this time. What I want to do is actually attack this army in the field, and we'll get some reinforcements ready to go. And some of these reinforcements may come from Edoras, actually. I'm not sure about this, but we've got quite a few units, including some pikes. We've got spears. We've got a good mix of stuff, it looks like. Some hillmen, some strong units all around. And I think Edoras is friendly enough, happy enough with our rule that they could take it if we brought some guys out of the settlement. The only problem is, as you can see, once we click one of these units, we're kind of bottled up because of zone of control issues. So we would need to swat away one of these armies. Let's see what happens when we do that with everybody. Oh, they actually want to stick around and fight. How annoying. Okay, well, I guess we should probably do this. This will be just a couple units of levies of Rohan and backing them up, a mix of like tier 2 and tier 3 infantry and cav. All right, we're setting up here kind of on a little hill, I guess. Looks like the reinforcements are coming from ahead and to our left. We've got kind of a longish, narrow formation, I guess. I want to have a bit of depth here in case the cavalry decide to charge. We are fronted by our unit of Dunlandish huntsmen. We've got spearmen, axemen, pikes, archers, chieftain, hillmen on the right, wolf hunters on the left, and we'll see if they stick around and fight. Now, if they don't, I'm actually fine with that. This is not really a fight that I want. I want to preserve my army as much as possible so I can turn around and swat away that other army of Rohan that is besieging the Hornburg. But on the other hand, if I can take these guys out with little loss, why not? The thing that I don't really want to do is take another settlement towards Gondor. If I take Aldburg, which is the one to the south and east of Edoras, then that is going to leave me right up against, I believe, the Reunited Kingdom, possibly a Dunabar. Either way, I don't want that. So we're just going to try to preserve that settlement. What I think that I do need to do, though, strategically is take, I believe the settlement is called Entwade. That is the one that is bordering both Edoras and the Hornburg, and that is the one that is allowing Hornburg to be repeatedly besieged. If we take that settlement, our sieges will be at Entwade. Basically, we will move our front out one settlement deep. And so that is going to just make things a lot easier to deal with. We'll still have sieges, we'll still have Rohan throwing armies together, but those armies are probably going to be a lot smaller, a lot less of a big deal, and the settlement itself is a lot less consequential too. Alright, so let's get our axemen out front. Everyone's throwing though right now, so I'm happy to let that happen. Again, we've got a lot of levies and axes right here. We'll see how long these guys stick around. The annoying thing, of course, is we've got horse archers. Let's see, where are they? We've got Riddermark scouts there, just a single unit, actually. So maybe we could focus them with our archers. I guess we can hit both of them. We've got Riddermark scouts there, just a single unit, actually. So maybe we could focus them with our archers. Let's see, where are they? We've got Riddermark scouts there, just a single unit, actually. So maybe we could focus them with our archers. that unit with both of our archers. These other bowmen of Rohan are probably doing a little more damage. Are these guys going to flee? I don't have any cavalry of my own in this army, but we've actually done a lot of damage with those javelins. You can see the carnage there. So we'll just let them run off the field, and then we're going to be able to get out of the settlement and attack that other army. Alright, so these armies are going to retreat back to Aldburg with both of them, it looks like, and now we are totally free to move out. Now I want to leave probably the general here and nobody else. We'll take this guy out, Hrock of the Fold. I think he's a relatively young man, yes, youthful. Shadow-touched as well, very interesting. So we could approach this in a couple of ways. One thing we could do is take this army out and instead of hitting this force, hit this one. Or alternatively, just go for Entwade itself. Let's see. We do have the movement points to attempt that. And yes, as we thought, Edoras is totally happy with us. Let's see, do we want to go for this? I think this would probably be the better move. Let's see if we can get a closer look at what this army consists of. I don't have a spy around here anymore. Okay, so it's kind of the stuff we just fought. And I think there's enough of us that we should be pretty intimidating. Balance of Power likes us. And there's a lot of cav, but it is horse archers and pretty light stuff. So let's see how we do in this one. Alright, so once again we get the same exact formation we used, with the exception that I moved my pikes back a little bit, moved my archers a little bit forward. But we'll see. It doesn't look like they're going to wait. They're going to move into a position and then probably barrage us. We've got 2 units of Rittermark scouts, 3 actually, and they do have a unit of bowmen as well. So we're going to be under fire as we approach. Let's speed this up here, and the question is, are they going to stick around and wait for us to approach, or are they going to charge? Let's get our huntsmen out there, and let's leave, yeah, we'll leave the bowmen back. They're going to choose their targets. Everyone else, I kind of want to rush them up because we've got the ability to throw javelins and stuff, of course. Our huntsmen are going to be a little annoying in how they're just going to skirmish. But again, here we can just stand and do a bunch of damage with spears. Let's focus fire on this to be a little more efficient. We'll take out this unit of Rittermark scouts and then worry about the other guys. Looks like our spearmen, all of our front rank spears are throwing, and then here come the melee cav. I guess we'll get our pikes up there. General up there too, and then let's move all of our melee units up towards the front. Alright, we are seeing some routing in the front. That is not terribly surprising. That's our huntsman. Alright, so let's see what this does. If the AI gets a nice, good charge, that can be really devastating, of course. But they are throwing everybody into it. So we're going to halt. We're going to war cry. We're going to throw our guys in. This is going to cause some fear, at least to the infantry units. Let's do a rally, see if we can get these huntsmen back. We can indeed. They can at least be maybe a bit more of a distraction. And let's get our general up here in the middle. We've got our hillmen over on the right, chopping down these Rohan spears. They're routing. And then everyone else looks like they're heading for the hills. So we'll just send the wolf hunters after them. See if we can catch them on the run. What do they got in the back there? Rohan spears withdrawing, some Rittermark scouts. Some of these guys, of course, are going to stick around, but I think we did a pretty good job today. And that's a clear victory. We did lose about 300 men, but we took out around 600 or 500 of theirs, and that is going to leave us in a position to move toward Entwade. I think we should have movement points to hit that army that's right outside the city. Alright, so of course they're going to back up into the settlement itself, and yeah, we can do that. Let's just get right next to the settlement, hit this army, and inside we've got Geralf of Westmark. So this is the heir, actually, and it's been a while since we have fought a unit of Riders of the King's House, a very formidable unit, and we took some losses in that last fight, but we do have enough pikes, I think, to deal with it. Some of these units are going to be holding back because they're archers, and in the other army, the one that we're attacking, oh, it's nothing. We should be fine. Alright, so the city is actually right over here, I guess, and so they're going to be coming right from slightly uphill. We can't really get much closer because of the, well, just the way the borders are. Actually, I guess we can move back in this direction. So let's do that. Let's get everybody running. And they're going to come in dribs and drabs, which is actually great news. That'll give our archers time to work against some of these Rittermark scouts. And then, of course, they're going to be shooting at our tribal spearmen, which I've got up front there just as a sacrificial lamb, a bit of a meat shield. Over there, we'll ignore that army for now and see if these guys are actually going to stick around and fight. they're probably going to throw in the family member pretty quickly, so we need to get going with our pikes, like, right now. Probably, actually, we're a little late for this. But let's war cry. Let's war cry with these guys. Yeah, look how fast they're coming on. They're just not hesitating at all. I'm going to route my spears, I would imagine. Basic Tier 1 Dunlandish spears are actually not all that robust against the very heavily armored charge of a unit like Riders of the King's House, especially given that these guys are an anti-morale unit. I can see the other army looks like they're marching away, so probably this guy's going to hold the rear guard, which is kind of good news. It means we can take out a family member. The garrison may then melt away, right, with the loss of this family member. But this army back there is going to retreat towards a settlement. All right, we'll throw these guys in. Missed the war cry, unfortunately. We war cried a bit too soon. But, hey, these guys are still going to be good against armor. The thing that war cry actually does, apparently, is increase the speed of attack. I always thought it was something different. I always thought it was increased their attack value by, like, +9 or something for about, 20 or 30 seconds. But apparently not. Apparently it increases their attack speed. So there goes the enemy general. We're going to clean this up. Actually, this is going to be the end right here. We're not going to catch those guys. And so in a couple of seconds, we should, get to the end of the battle and see how we did here. Yeah, okay. So even in that, we lost 100 men. It's insane. We take very high losses. Now, again, we are a fairly low-tier army. Okay, they're going to back into Endwade, and that's going to leave us with one option, and that is to put it under siege. Now, I think what we'll experience is this army turning about and trying to attack us here. This army does have a lot more infantry and no horse archers. Well, they've got one unit. They've got a couple of foot archers, and then, a lot more of these levies of Rohan and axes. So that's pretty good. Their melee cav looks a lot less consequential. I think we should be okay. Still, you never know, so we may lose a bunch of guys. What I can do is start to move some of these men around, or I guess what I could do is try a sally. A cheeky sally attempt. But, I mean, looking at it, well, I think I kind of have to now. Alright, so we've got everybody up here in the plaza. This is really the only way we can get out. We've got to go down the hill. We're going to leave our 2 Dunlanding hillmen, or 3 actually, just in the plaza to hold the fort literally in case something awful happens here. And we'll see. Are these guys going to leave, or are they just backing up? Okay, it looks like they're backing up to a more advantageous position downhill of me, so that's very nice to see. We've got some spearmen in the front as usual. We've got a bunch of archers here, so I think we can do a lot of damage on the skirmish, and melee is going to be where things are going to be a little touchy, because while their melee cav is certainly not family member quality, certainly no Riders of the King's House here, they can pack a punch regardless, and they do have javelins, at least the 2 of the units that I saw earlier, so I'm not quite sure exactly how this is going to go. I think what we want to do is just get everybody out here, get the archers enough room and enough time to do a little bit of damage before the other guys come in. And, to me, it's still an open question if the AI is going to stick around. Once they see my full force deploying in reasonable order, they may decide it's better to withdraw. But where can they withdraw to at this point? They don't have the option to get into the settlement anymore, the Endwade settlement. Alright, we need to get going with these archers in kind of a deep formation. And I think my my nice formation that I established up on the hill there got kind of broken in coming down, but that's fine. Let's see, we've got our axemen. Alright, tribal spearmen are up front. That's good. We're already firing. We're going to take out these bowmen. We're going to take out... Oh, yeah, we've already got them down by about half. So yeah, if this army decides to withdraw, I'm really curious as to where they're going to end up. Alright, our pikes are out on the left, which is a little weird. We don't have that many of them, honestly. Alright, I don't think they're blocking anybody, but we want to get our archers a little bit closer. So that'll mean basically moving everybody a little bit further forward. It actually looks like they've got their melee cav on the flanks. We're going to have to engage with these guys for a little while, though. There's some axemen in the mix here, so that's going to be a little more challenging. I'd like to shoot over that infantry line if I can and focus on their cav. So let's get way out. All right, everybody's up where they can do some good. The thing that could really sink me is if this whole line just decides to go. Okay, those are Rohan riders. Yep. Okay, they're hanging back still, which is good. Give me time to shoot. Okay, here come Rohan riders. Let's see. Well, I guess we'll just wait. We're going to get our axemen shooting. They're going to charge into melee. We're going to lose this unit of archers. But we can get our axemen, we can get our general in the fight. And I think that should be okay. Where are you going? Okay, they're turning around now. They're gonna get themselves together. Okay, everyone else is again holding back, which is just fine. Let's take everybody off that original target I had them going for. Dunland huntsmen going crazy in the battle here. We'll just keep everybody back. Okay, and they have come back into the fight, and not unexpected. There's going to be a little bit of this as the AI decides and then thinks better of it to attack. Okay, they're going to catch our pikes, or they're going to withdraw just before. All right, either way. Alright, these guys are taking some damage. That was the withdraw order. So, we want to see where they're going to end up. First, of course, I guess we do need to deal with these infantry, the axes of the mark. Okay, they're routing. Pull back. We'll just call it here before we get a javelin in the neck. And we'll get to the campaign map. Okay, pretty successful sally, but where's the army going to go to? Possibly just the border here? Because they can't go back into Entwade, fortunately. Oh, are they going to just ignore the rules? Yeah, they're going to ignore the rules completely. Okay, very good. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could. I don't know. But the idea that they were able to withdraw through the zone of control of Edoras back into the mountainous hold of Dunharrow seems a little bit cheaty, but it had the desired effect. Now, if we can capture Entwade, this will mean that the Hornburg is officially safe, because there's no other settlements that border it. I mean, Dunharrow does technically, but they can't get around Edoras under most circumstances. So we should be safe at the Hornburg, which is good because this is a financial powerhouse, and so now this would become our new border. Now, given that the Hornburg is now safe, or should be in a few turns, we can afford to move this garrison out over to Edoras, which is now badly undermanned. So we'll definitely shuffle some of these guys around. I think we're going to leave just basically a few archers in the Hornburg itself. Everyone else should move in here. We're also moving reinforcements over from some other settlements. We've got them accompanied by agents, don't worry, so that hopefully these guys won't get bribed. But in the north, we've got, you know, 3/4 of a stack, I guess, right here. A lot of cav, so kind of interesting. I guess I went a little too cav happy training up all those riders, but we'll move them up here right outside Greyholm. Now, in the settlement, we've accidentally had this guy pick up the governorship trait, which, you know, he's not a good governor, so this is really not where we want him. We want him out in the field, ideally. So where that's going to be is, let's see, I guess we could ignore the Southgard fort and then in a couple of turns just put Tharbad itself under siege. That's probably going to be the move that will draw their attention the most. So I think I want to take all of these, all the Spendius units out. Actually, we only got room for 5, so I guess I have to choose a little more carefully. We got plenty of cav, so let's go with some pikes. Let's go with a couple of archers and one more of these mercenary types. And that should be it. There's our full stack. We'll move him up here just to be a little bit away. Oh, and it's good to see that Tharbad never got around to taking Swanfleet. That is going to simplify things very nicely. If Tharbad doesn't take it, it seems like nobody does, at least for a very long time. So I don't think a Dunabar will be free up to deal with that just yet. So we'll see if we can get over to Tharbad. We might not be able to. We might run into some zone of control issues with the fort or another army right next to it, like I think this is causing us not to be able to get a sword icon over the settlement. But that's definitely going to be the plan. Well, fortunately, we were not attacked by Rohan this turn, and it feels like this episode has been basically just us fighting Rohan, but I have got my spy down here to see how things are progressing in the Ithilien region, and it's very interesting. We've got the Reunited Kingdom has grabbed Anorian, which is actually fine. I'd probably rather they have it than any other faction in the area. Adunabar has made no progress, and in fact, they've lost ground. They have lost North Ithilien, which means they've lost Minus Ithil. Now, this is not terribly unexpected if I think about it, because the way the mod is set up is that if you choose a particular faction, there are other factions, the non-player factions, that will receive bonuses or penalties depending on which faction you chose, and the aim is to make the game a little more challenging. So if you're playing Dunland, your ally Adunabar is not going to be quite as strong as Adunabar would be if you're playing the Reunited Kingdom, let's say. So Adunabar's possibly going to lose in the south, may win in the north. We'll see how things go. But very interestingly, Harondor has moved up into Emin Arnin, and I'm actually curious to see if Harad is going to be doing anything with them. If we take a look at the diplomacy, Harad is indeed at war with Harondor. They're at war with Khan, they're at war with Far Harad, and so I don't know. I'm not seeing any big devastation in the area. So it doesn't look like Harad or Harondor have been really fighting all that much. I'm not seeing any signs of devastation around Far Harad either, so that's kind of a good thing. But I just don't know where the wars are happening. Very interesting. I guess we'll find out at some point. But yes, looking at the north, it looks like we are running into some zone of control issues around here. So what we're going to have to do before we can even attack Tharbad is take out the South Guard Fort. And I don't think we're going to... Oh my gosh, they're going to allow us to fight. Okay. This is going to be pretty straightforward. We've got enough cav here that we could actually run a lot of these guys down. They've got none, and this is the king, actually. Fram of Western Cardaland. Well, good. I'm eager to see how this is going to play out. So, yeah, they're not going to give us the fight, it looks like. The army is actually withdrawing in the distance there. The army we're attacking is moving off. So, I guess I half expected this. So back into the fort they go. That just gives us the opportunity to put it directly under siege, build a couple of items here, and then when we return, the plan is that we are going to have Southguard Fort and Antwaid in our possession. I've reinforced this army with a few others that I had moved over to Edoras, and we're bringing some more forces over in this direction as well to kind of make sure that we don't lose these two places, which are now the front lines. But this is going to be a very straightforward battle here. There's no family member anymore, and the army that is assaulting is pretty large, so it's mostly going to be a shoot 'em from a distance and then move in towards the city plaza. Same thing is going to happen with the fort. Near Tharbad, we're going to get our siege equipment around and then send some archers up onto the walls and shoot down inside. So should be a fairly straightforward couple of battles that I don't think we really need to see. After that occurs, though, we're going to have a relatively different set of borders. We're going to be feeling pretty safe south of the Grey Flood, with this exception of Lond Dare. That may be our next target in a little while. But we're also going to be open to take Tharbad without having to worry about anything from our right, because we've got just rebels over here. And in the south, around Rohan, feeling pretty good. Now, they could certainly reassemble another force around Aldburg and in Dunharrow. Dunharrow, in fact, is going to be a very easy grab for us to take at some point, so that's on my list, but not really a high priority at the moment. So when we return, we're going to see how far we can push into the north, and I keep promising this, but we will get to it. We will get up the flank of the White Mountains, get these Orcish settlements, and then start turning cultic in a little while. But it's going to take a while for these high-level temples to get built. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. When that happens, though, we're going to drastically see a change in the campaign, so I hope you join me for that. Until the next one, everybody, take care.